Welcome to this explainer. I'm absolutely pumped to get into today's topic with you because we're looking at a mathematical concept that is, honestly, it's kind of like a secret cheat code to human behavior. We're going to explore a game, a surprisingly simple one actually, that literally dictates everything from, who does the dishes in your apartment to the ultimate fate of the entire planet. It's called the prisoner's dilemma. And let me tell you, by the time we finish up here, you're going to see the world in a completely different way. Okay, let's dive right into this, because to truly understand the insane stakes of this game, we got to go back to the darkest, most tense days of the Cold War. This quote we're looking at is from John von Neumann. He's the brilliant founder of game theory. And wow, it sounds terrifying, right? Why not bomb them today? Like, why on earth would a genius mathematician advocate for an unprovoked nuclear strike? Well, during the Cold War, the nuclear arms race completely backed strategists into a corner. They were desperately trying to figure out how to survive a standoff where both sides had literal world-ending power. And that sheer terror, it led to some extremely cold, almost ruthless mathematical calculations. You can really see how rapidly things escalated here. In September 1949, an American weather plane detected radioactive isotopes over Japan. The terrifying conclusion for the US? The Soviet Union had the bomb. American military supremacy was just gone, overnight. Instantly, the RAND Corporation, which was this massive US think tank, tasked its absolute brightest mathematicians to model this life-or-death geopolitical standoff. And in 1950, out of that frantic, desperate attempt to solve a literal nuclear crisis, the framework for the prisoner's dilemma was born. Section 1. Playing the prisoner's dilemma. Will you cooperate or defect? To really grasp how this fueled the Cold War, we kind of need to play the game ourselves. I want you to step directly into the shoes of a player right now. We're going to strip away the nuclear missiles and just bring this down to pure human psychology and strategy. So imagine a banker sits down with you and a total stranger. The banker has a chest full of gold coins and gives you both a secret choice. You can either cooperate with the other player or you can defect and betray them. The fundamental tension here is really between trusting a complete stranger and just maximizing your own personal gain. So what do you do? Now, what's really interesting about this setup is the payoff matrix. If you both cooperate, you each walk away with a nice, solid 3 coins. Great, right? But let's look at the alternatives. If your opponent cooperates and you defect, boom, you get 5 coins and they get absolutely nothing. So, logically, defecting is better for you. But wait, what if your opponent defects? Well, if you cooperate, you get 0, which is terrible. But if you defect too, you at least walk away with 1 coin. If you look really closely at the math here, no matter what the other person does, defecting always yields a better individual result for you. Section 2. The Nash equilibrium trap. Why rational choices lead to global disaster. And that cold, hard mathematical logic, that is exactly what led the United States and the Soviet Union to spend $10 trillion building tens of thousands of nukes. They were acting as entirely rational players looking at that exact same matrix we just did, realizing that defecting, which in this case meant building more nuclear weapons, was their safest individual bet. They ended up in a situation where both were exponentially worse off, literally living on the brink of constant annihilation. This terrifying phenomenon actually has a name, the Nash equilibrium. It's basically a stable state where hypothetical, rational agents logically trap themselves in the absolute worst-case scenario, simply out of fear of being played for a fool. Think about it. If you know the other guy might betray you, you feel like you have to betray him first, just to protect yourself. It's this ironclad logical trap where individual rationality guarantees collective failure. And the crazy thing is, this doesn't just happen with nuclear weapons, it happens literally every day in real-world economics. Consider 2 rival cigarette companies, let's call them Red Strikes and Smooth Blue. If neither of them spends money on advertising, they split the market evenly and make a nice $100 profit each. That's the ideal cooperative outcome. But out of this intense fear that the other guy is going to advertise and steal their customers, they both spend $30 on these massive ad campaigns. The campaigns completely cancel each other out, and now they only make $70 profit each. They literally wasted their money just to undercut each other, trapped by the exact same dilemma. Section 3, the computer tournament twist. Are we just robotic sociopaths? So, if the math proves that betrayal is always the smartest move, are humans just destined to be cold, calculating, robotic sociopaths? Well, researchers actually put this to the test. They put real human strangers into isolated booths to play a one-off prisoner's dilemma game on a computer. No communication, no prior relationship, no chance of ever seeing each other again. And surprisingly, a full 22% of the time, people outright chose to cooperate. The strict math says cooperation should be at absolute zero, 0%. But it wasn't. Why? Because we aren't just cold calculators, you know? We're social creatures. We naturally lean toward optimism and helping the group, even when it's super risky. But here is the massive twist that changes absolutely everything. What happens when you play the game more than once? You see, out in the real world, we rarely have just one-off interactions. Think of impalas out on the African savanna. They literally need to groom disease-carrying ticks off each other. Now, an impala could be selfish and refuse to groom a partner just to save energy. But if they do that, well, the partner definitely isn't going to groom them tomorrow. The game is repeated. Section 4. The Winning Strategy. Robert Axelrod's 1980 Game Theory Tournament. To solve this giant riddle of the repeated game, a political scientist named Robert Axelrod invited the world's leading game theorists to submit computer programs for this massive digital tournament. 15 different, incredibly complex programs faced off against each other in a round-robin format. Every single matchup lasted 200 rounds. People submitted these wildly complex pieces of code, right? Trying to trick and exploit their opponents. But the winner of the entire tournament was shockingly simple. It was this tiny piece of code called tit for tat, and it only had 2 steps. Step 1, start by cooperating on the very first move. Step 2, just copy exactly what your opponent did on their last move. That is literally it. If you cooperate, I cooperate. If you defect, I defect. It created this perfect alternating echo effect. So the absolutely crucial point here is, why on earth did this incredibly simple strategy destroy all the complicated, sneaky ones? Well, Axelrod found that the winning program basically possessed 4 vital traits. First, it was nice. It never, ever betrayed first. Second, it was forgiving. It would retaliate, sure, but the very moment you went back to cooperating, it forgave you and cooperated too. Third, it was retaliatory. So it wasn't a pushover. If you hit it, it hit back immediately. And finally, it was clear. Its behavior was completely predictable, which is huge because it allowed other players to build trust. In short, nice, forgiving strategies actually do finish first. Section 5. The Game of Life. Escaping the echo chamber of retaliation. But there is a final, vital complication we really have to look at here. In the messy real world, we deal with noise. Accidental communication errors. If someone genuinely tries to cooperate, but it accidentally looks like a betrayal, tit for tat is programmed to immediately retaliate. Then the other side retaliates back, and suddenly, boom, you're trapped in this endless echo chamber of accidental revenge. To show you how incredibly dangerous this actually is, consider what happened in 1983. A Soviet satellite early warning system flashed bright red, detecting an incoming U.S. intercontinental ballistic missile. The strict rule of tit for tat dictated an immediate, devastating retaliation. But a Soviet officer named Stanislav Petrov realized something felt wrong. It turned out to be a glitch, literally just sunlight reflecting off high-altitude clouds. By choosing not to retaliate, Petrov broke the echo chamber and, quite literally, saved human civilization from a doom loop of accidental retaliation. And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate evolution of the winning strategy. To survive in a noisy, highly imperfect world, mathematicians realize that tit for tat actually needs an upgrade. It needs to be about 10% more forgiving. So instead of retaliating every single time, occasionally when provoked, it just lets it slide. That extra 10% buffer of grace, that is the only mathematical way to stop accidental errors from destroying everything we've built together. Which brings us to our final question. I think the greatest illusion in the prisoner's dilemma is thinking that to win, you absolutely must defeat the other player. Now, in games like chess or poker, sure, that's true. They're zero-sum. But real life is almost never zero-sum. True victory doesn't come from extracting your reward from the person sitting across from you. It comes from working with them to extract the reward from the world itself. So take a look at your own life. Are you treating your relationships, your work, or your community like a zero-sum game? Or are you ready to be nice, clear, provocable, and just a little bit forgiving to unlock that ultimate win-win scenario? The math literally says cooperation wins, but are you brave enough to make the first move?